December 2020, we went to Kingman, Arizona for their annual Christmas walk. The historic part of Kingman is one of our favorite places in the world. Located on the longest remaining continuous stretch of Route 66, it's like a living, breathing museum of American history. There are so many good reasons to visit Kingman, but this trip was centered around the Beale Street Theater. Opened in 1939 with what was then cutting-edge technology, it quickly became too popular and the current version of the Beale Theater was opened in 1948. The Beale showed movies daily until its closure in 1979. Also, while we were there, we were able to sort of confirm a local legend. Well, at least confirm it to ourselves. We had heard at the Hotel Brunswick the two men who owned the building fell in love with the same woman. The resulting feud was so severe they separated the building in two. And if you look closely at the shots from the rear of the building, you can see it's true. It's also always nice to get another chance to see the Hotel Beale. You should also check out the Powerhouse Museum. Visiting Kingman's historic district is like stepping into living history. Not a reenactment, not a recreation, but actual history, preserved by people who actually live there and love the area. Home to fantastic restaurants, shops, and entertainment, it's definitely worth checking out. As I said, we came for the annual Christmas walk. This year it was a walking tour from the Beale Street Theater to the legendary Polar Express stopped at Locomotive Park. Famed steam engine number 3759 is displayed in Locomotive Park. In 1957, the Santa Fe Railroad Company presented this northern type engine to the city of Kingman. For years, this train carried passengers between Los Angeles and Kansas City. Its final run was in 1953. In 1987, the caboose was added to the Locomotive Park display, and today visitors are encouraged to climb up in the cab and experience this actual piece of history. Now, on to the 2020 Kingman Christmas Walk.
To give you all a fair warning, we will be walking at least 3 blocks. We will be standing for a majority of the performance. Hello, Jackie Burns.
Hello, Christine.
Good to see you again. So, our first stop is in Whoville, where Christmas is in danger of being stolen. What? So, watch your step, there's a wire, and come on in. Sorry. Just gather around along up to that bar.
Every who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. But the Grinch who lived just north of Whoville did not. The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now, please don't ask why. Might not say it could be his head wasn't screwed on his bread.
It could be perhaps when his shoes were too tight.
But I think that the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was too size was too small. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve hating the Grinch. Staring down from his cave with a sour Grinchy frown, out the warm lighted windows below my town. And you do, every who down in the beach, Lily now, hanging your mistletoe wreath.
And they're hanging their stockings.
He snarled with a sneer.
Tomorrow's Christmas is practically here.
Then he growled with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming. For tomorrow he knew all the Who girls and boys wake bright and early. They'd rush for their toys and then... Oh, the noise! Oh, the noise! Noise, noise, noise!
That's the one thing the Grinch hated. The noise.
Noise! 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 Then the Who's young and old would sit down to a feast, and they'd feast! And they'd feast! And they'd feast! Feast!
Feast.
Feast! They'd feast on new pudding and rare Who roast beef.
Which was something the Grinch couldn't stand the least.
Then they do something he liked least of all.
Every Who down in Whoville, tall and small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd shake hand in hand.
And the Who's would start singing. They'd sing and they'd sing and they'd sing. Sing!
Sing.
Sing! The more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought,
I must stop this whole thing. Why? For 53 years I put up with it now, and must stop this whole Christmas from coming. How?
Then he got an idea. An awful idea.
the Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea.
I know just what to do.
The Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat, and he chuckled and clucked.
What a great Grinchy trick. With this hat and this coat, I look just like St. Nicholas. All I need is a reindeer.
The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer are scarce, there was none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? No. He simply said,
I can't find a reindeer. I'll make one instead.
So we called the dog mask and took some red thread and tied a big horn on the top of his head.
Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh, and he hitched up old Max. Then the Grinch said,
Giddy up!
and the sleigh started down towards the town, where the Who's lay snoozing their homes.
The winter dark, quiet snow filled the air. All the Who's were dreaming sweet dreams that pair.
When he came to the first little house on the square,
Didn't stop, never run.
the old Grinchy Claus hissed. Then he climbed to the roof and bags in his fist. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight fit. But if Santa could do it, so could the Grinch.
He got still only once for a moment or two. Then he stuck his head out of the fireplace too. Where all the tiny good stockings all hung in a row.
These stockings
He grinned.
are the first things to go.
Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant. Around the whole room, and he took every present, pop guns, and bicycles, roller skates,
Drums, checkerboard.
tricycles, popcorn, and plums, and he stuffed them in bags. Then the Grinch, very nimbly, stuffed all the bags one by one up the chimney. Then he slunk to the icebox.
He took the Who's feast. He took the Who's pudding.
He took the roast beef. He cleaned out that icebox as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took the last peanut to hash, and then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee.
And now,
Grinned the Grinch.
I will stop up the tree.
Then he grabbed the tree and he started to shove. When he heard a small sound like the coo of a dove, he turned around fast and he saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou who was not much older than you. The Grinch got caught by his tiny Who daughter, who got out of bed for just a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said,
Santa Claus? Santa Claus, why? Why are you keeping your Christmas tree? Why?
so you know that Grinch was so smart and so slick. He thought it alive and he thought it up quick.
Why am I sweet on pot?
The fake Santa Claus lied.
There's a light on this tree. That won't light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, and then I'll bring it back here.
And his fib fooled the child. Then he patted her head and got her a drink. And when Cindy Lou went to fetch her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. The last thing he took was the log for their fire. Then he went up the chimney himself, the old liar.
The one thing he left on the wall was a hook and some wire. And the one speck of food he left on the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse.
Then he did the same thing to the other Who's houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Who's mouses. It was a quarter past on, all the Who's still in bed, all the Who's still snooze when he packed up the sled.
Packed it up with their presents, their ribbons.
The wrappings, the tags, and the tinsel, the trimmings, the trappings, 3,000 feet up.
Up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode his load to the tippy top to dump it.
Here.
He was Grinchiously humming.
You're fine out now. There's no question who's coming. I know just which of you. The mouth hang open for a moment or two. Then all the Who's down here will all come. And pew, that's a noise.
Grinned the Grinch.
That simply must hear.
Then he paused and the Grinch put a hand to his ear and he heard a sound right rising over the snow. It started low. Then it started to grow, but the sound wasn't sad.
Well, the sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so.
But it was merry. Very! He stared down at Whoville, and he popped his eyes and shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise.
All the Who's down in Whoville, the tall and small, were standing close together. They were hand in hand, and the Who's were singing.
Without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or other, it came just the same. And the Grinch with his Grinch feet, ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling.
How could it be so? He'll not ribbons, he'll not tags, he'll not packages, boxes, or bags.
He puzzled 3 hours, so his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before.
Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more.
What will happen next? All the Who's down in Whoville say the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day.
And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light, and he brought back the toys and the food for the feast, and he himself, the Grinch carved for those feasts. Merry Christmas! Rain, snow, and never get shivery cold. Could have been Frosty's warm heart or his magical smile. Either way, the children grew to love him. Each day, Frosty had a wonderful plan, all set. One morning, he said,
Let's go shopping today. I've never seen a store, you know.
I want to go see the toys at Vagabonds.
We should get hot chocolate.
I don't think Frosty can make anything hot.
Oh, yeah. It's getting warm outside, isn't it? Maybe we could get a cookie from the sweet shop.
Come on, Frosty, let's go.
They all joined hands, and away they skipped off to town where the shops stood in rows. Frosty thought every shop was amazing. Each store was fantastic. All around town, the children led Frosty that day while the warm, wintry sun shone down.
Whew. I don't feel so good.
What's wrong, Frosty? Maybe he needs to sit down and rest.
I don't think we should sit.
Maybe we can go to the doctor's.
I think we should take Frosty home.
Stop! You must wait for the cars to stop. Cross the road.
Suddenly, down the street came a warm gust of wind, and it blew Frosty's hat right off.
Alright, come along.
But Frosty.
Where did Frosty go?
Oh, Frosty the Snowman has gone to where all snowmen go on warm wintry days. We'll be back here beckoning and calling the great heats of the Christmas snowfall.
And he will.
Now, what is... I do that, sweetheart. Oh, hello. Don't mind me, I'm almost done. Does that look straight to you?
Yes.
Oh, look, a Christmas card from Cinderella. Dear Brenda, Merry Christmas, singers and charming. Aww. Yes, can you please send me a recipe for pumpkin pie? It's the same thing every year. The last trick-or-treat has barely begun to sound, and already Walmart is full to overflowing with Christmas decorations and jingle bells, jingle bells. Yes. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, it's the Christmas season. Now, mind, I'm not complaining. Being the fairy on top of the Christmas tree is a whole lot better than scrounging a living, hunting for teeth under pillows. I mean, people put fluoride in toothpaste and they don't think about the consequences. For some of us, bad teeth are a source of income. Anyway, being the fairy on top of the Christmas tree is dead brilliant. For starters, you can see everything that goes on. Oh my, do it go on. Take Santa Claus, for instance. What's that all about? A fat man in a red suit slides down the chimney, leaves a bunch of stuff. First time I saw him, I thought he was an illegal dumper. You know, he arrives on a flying sleigh at the peak last year and saw it? It has one light. It's red. It's on the front of a reindeer. That can't possibly be legal. And what about those poor elves? He never shares a swig of the sherry that people leave out for him. No, wait a minute, that's probably a good idea that he doesn't, because those elves are vicious when they're drunk. Oh, do you like my nails? I think they make my butt look fat. I want to figure like the fashion doll they gave the little girl here last year. She was lovely. Long blonde hair and oh, the clothes. She was 44, 18, 24. 44. Yeah, well, that's what comes to being made from the inside. The toilet paper roll. Yep. Speaking of that, did you get a look at the turkey the family bought for this year? It's the size of a small semi. They always buy too much at Christmas time. I mean, who needs 100 pounds of Brussels sprouts? You don't even need that in Belgium. Everybody overdoes at Christmas. I mean, have you looked outside? They put up some outdoor lights. There's enough bright lights out there. 747 landed on the garage roof. And what about the tree that I'm supposed to be sitting on top of? It's huge. A family of squirrels is still hibernating in the trunk. And it's covered with enough baubles, you'd think it was a pawnbrokers convention. And what about those fairy lights that flash and play music? And it's going to be like sitting on top of a high-pitched discotheque. Woo! Anyway, I'm not complaining. It's that group over there in the corner that I feel sorry for. It's called a nativity scene. And you know, for the longest time, I didn't think it had anything to do with Christmas. But I was talking to one of the camels, and he was explaining it to me. There's a baby. It's in a manger. It's his birthday. Poor thing. Can you imagine having a birthday on Christmas when all this other stuff's going on? I mean, really. Anyway, according to the camel, Mom and Dad couldn't find a place to stop and have the baby. They hadn't made reservations like they're supposed to at the holidays, so they got stuck in a stable. I mean, it's picturesque, but not very sanitary. Anyway, after the baby's born, a whole lot of people start showing up. There's a whole bunch of shepherds, complete with sheep, and there's a donkey, and then 3 kings come riding in with their camels bearing gifts. No, the kings, not the camels. Anyway, there's gold, frankincense, and myrrh.
Is this supposed to be myrrh?
It was supposed to be myrrh, but that broke off a couple of years ago. And when they tried to glue it back on, the cat got in the way. Anyway, I feel sorry for the baby. I mean, he's brought out, made a fuss over every Christmas, and before you know it, he's back in a box and stuffed up in the attic. You hardly get a chance to know him. And I think that's a real shame, because I'm willing to bet there's a whole lot more to him than just a guest slot in a school nativity play and a horse of away in the manger. Anyway, it's time for me to climb the tree. Oh, I hope they got one of those no-drop ones. Those pine needles get everywhere. La 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 la, Hosanna in the highest. Merry Christmas.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have you all exit out this door. And well, it isn't hollow. You too. Well, you must have already finished your tours. Isn't the last one kind of quick? You enjoy yourself. Stay warm.
I'll do yours.
Oh, Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be going this way next, just next door. So follow me and make a semicircle. We're doing lots of semicircles tonight. Alright, you guys are going to get a warm and lovely treat as we continue our journey. You will take 1 cup of hot chocolate and 1 cookie per person. We will be entering through this door and then going through the door in the back. So, let's get yourselves some treats.
Gotta get my mom's butt shot. We're flocking.
Alright, follow me, folks. Everyone gather around any of the gravel on the grass, just gather around. Come along. Room for everyone. Let's start. Make room for everyone else. All right.
Is that okay?
Now, our next story takes us on the tale of a young doubting boy on Christmas Eve. You will board a powerful magical train heading towards the North Pole and embark on the story of self-discovery and realize that the magic of Christmas never fades for those who truly believe.
On Christmas Eve, many years ago, I lay quietly in my bed. I did not rustle the sheets. I breathed slowly and silently. I was listening for a sound a friend had told me I would never hear. The ringing bells of Santa's sleigh. He had said to me, "There is no Santa." He'd insisted, but I knew he was wrong. Later that night, I did hear sounds, though not of the ringing bells. From outside came the sounds of hissing steam and squeaking metal. I looked through the window and saw a train standing perfectly still in front of my house.
All aboard! Well, are you coming? Where? To the North Pole, of course. This is the Polar Express. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you have an opportunity to board the Polar Express.
We join our passengers together there on the train as we fill our cars and prepare for our journey. The train was filled with other children. We sang Christmas carols and ate candy with nougat centers as white as snow.
Hey, you. Yeah, do you know what kind of train this is? Huh? Train, do you know what kind of train this is? Of course, it's a magic train. You're going to the North Pole. I know it's a magic train. Actually, it's a Bowen 484S Class D locomotive built in 1927 by Bowen Locomotive Works. It weighs 458,800 pounds, and in 1941 it was converted to use oil. Are we really going to the North Pole? Isn't it wonderful? It's Christmas, cozy, and beautiful. Yeah.
Come on, folks, keep the train moving. Join our kids on the journey as we move north to the North Pole.
from the Kingman Christmas Walk go towards the preservation and restoration of the Beale Street Theater. If you're interested in helping to keep this piece of history alive, please visit bealestreettheater.com. Thank you for watching and Merry Christmas!